Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not to Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season finale of Krypton. A great season finale. There is a lot that went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Obviously, Seg was able to make it off of Wegthor before things, things ended up the way they did. And so we have Seg informing everyone about Cam, the sacrifice that he made. And I love that it's like, Cam only had them as family. And it's like, so, Val is like, he'll be, remembered as a part of this family, as an L, as brother to Seg. And I was like, I thought that was kind of a beautiful sentiment and stuff, especially the fact is he went out like a hero, dude. And once again, just like the brutal way he went out, I wasn't, like I brought up last episode, I wasn't expecting it gonna go down like that, but still. So all that's happening. You have Nyssa popping off because basically she's trying to get the Rand to get to the person that basically made the Zeta beam. But obviously it was Adam, apparently, because I don't think he'd ever brought that up, that he was actually the one who modified it to make it so you could do the time travel. But obviously for him, he's like, after everything that's going down over the course of the series, he's like, yeah, I'm done time traveling because I've already kind of screwed up the timeline enough. If I do any more, who knows what more catastrophic damage I'm gonna do. So obviously he's also high off of stuff to kind of make him helpful with the whole being paralyzed situation. Kind of essentially it's like Kryptonian painkiller, essentially, that apparently seems really good. So while he's kind of high off that, he ends up talking to Nyssa about everything, and Nyssa gets in her head like she needs to use this because it's the only way she can potentially find Brainiac and save her son. So she uses it. She was trying to go to Rand, the planet where this person is, which is interesting because I guess in my head, like, because we met those people, not really met them, they were just voices when Adam was talking to them. But I guess in my head, I just assumed that was like somewhere on Earth. I didn't think like, oh, that's a different planet. I guess because I just assumed because he's from Earth, so that's what I kind of assumed. Well, I mean, it doesn't mean that he isn't from a different planet initially, but maybe like there's an in between space that they can meet up at, whatever the case may be. So she was planning to go there. Obviously, I'll get to her situation later on, but it ends up being a thing of like she doesn't land where she quite needs to, but she ends up saying like, tell Seg I'm sorry, because she just needs to find Brainiac so she can save their son, because there's so much stuff already going on and she can't just wait for this whole Zod situation to be dealt with. I'm also skipping over it, but at the very beginning of the episode, it's like, oh, we're going to target this planet because Zod's already got his fleet of ships up and everything, and it's like he's targeting the Earth, and then it's like 12 hours earlier. What I thought was kind of interesting, because it's like, of course the first planet that you're potentially going to conquer is going to be Earth. Because why? Because your literal nemesis came from that planet. Because Earth is the one planet that you could not conquer, even in present day, just many different reasons, but obviously a big reason is Clark being there made it impossible. At this point in time, Earth was without a Superman, so it makes it a little easier, especially if you go to Earth powered up. But then also comes down to the whole situation. Well, it also depends on the continuity of DC universe. In this universe, like, what heroes were kicking it around in, because once again, you look at like someone like Wonder Woman, like she's part god, so it's like she's around, but to be fair, she's probably kicking on Themyscira. She hasn't, because continuity of movie, she didn't come to the like world of man until like World War One. So there has that whole situation as well. It's just something I just thought was kind of interesting. But nevertheless, it's just like there might be other superheroes that might be there, but like obviously there's no Man of Steel, so that's a whole thing in itself. So, but I thought it was kind of interesting. Of course, your first choice would be Earth, but we go back. What some surprises was the whole Dev and Jaina situation. They kiss him like, whoa. It turns into one of those weird situations where it's like you don't end up with the person you want to be with, and so you end up with someone close to that said person. I didn't expect you, because he was in love with Lyta, didn't expect him to end up with Lyta's mom. I mean, granted, they kissed and that's it, but you feel like there's something going to happen there. I mean, I guess it's that thing of like you thought you were the last of Resistance, and it's like they've been through so much, they've both lost so much, so they're kind of kindred spirits in that. Obviously, they stopped they went their separate ways the moment Lyta went, because it was like, oh, that's probably weird, that has to be explained and everything. But obviously, you have like Wagthor, like the chunks of the planet raining down on Krypton, so they inform Lyta about this, and Lyta's like, no more holds barred when it comes to Zod. We have to take him down because he's done too much. The fact is, he would even send a monster like Doomsday out there to do any damage at all like that, and against his own father too. It's like, no, like he's no longer my son. We're going to do whatever is necessary. and they have some plans, but while they're coming up with the plans, the Resistance shows up. And so obviously talking about Cam again and just the sacrifice that he made and what they're planning on doing, that obviously Lyta has her Sagittarius, she's got shifted to her side, but sadly those Sagittari end up getting killed by Zod because he somehow found out about their plans. And you could tell that one guy who was like a commander or whatever was there when Zod slit that dude's throat. It's like, yeah, you could tell he was, because he saw how barbaric Zod is. It's like, yeah, we handle things a certain way, but for him to just promise the dude, it's like, I'll let you live, and then kill him instantly afterwards, kind of shows what kind of person Zod is. And it's like, yeah, because it's even so, well, I'll get to it when it gets to it, but obviously they were found out, so the two Sagittarius she had shifted ended up getting killed, and anyone else, well, that little Resistance on their side, your inside people were kind of taken out. So it's like, what do we do now? And so the main thing is if we take out Zod, we stop all of this. So it becomes a thing of well, everyone has to hold a front here while keeping the Sagittari busy while we go deal with Zod. Obviously, shots fired on both sides, people going down. Once again, I love the fact is we get to see Jaina do her badass thing and just flipping people, tossing, bang, 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 taking the guns, firing, being the badass that she is. It's like, we haven't had Jaina going badass mode this season. I don't think she's really fought much this season. She's fired at people, but she hasn't been in her bag, kicking ass, I feel like she was quite a bit last season. I feel like we haven't seen it as much this season, but this was our first instance of going, yeah. So there's that whole thing. And you have Seg confronting Zod and telling the people everything that's going on, that they shouldn't follow Zod anymore, because obviously he's taking away the parts of you that make you Kryptonian. He's taking away your personalities and making you follow them. And even telling Zod, and I thought it was such an important line of you want these people to follow you because of what you've done for them, but it's these people are following you because you warp their minds into you creating these narratives, making yourself look like the hero while you've done so many terrible things. The fact of the matter is, they didn't bring it up because obviously the people were kind of okay with it to a certain extent. It was a whole doomsday. He literally killed so many people, and it's the fact is, you're okay with your leader using a unstoppable killing machine like that. Sure thing. But then there's also the whole aspect of just, once again, it's him reprogramming everyone's brains to kind of fit. It's if you don't fall in line with what I want you to be and do, then I'm gonna reprogram you. It's oh, Lyta, he's he made a clone of me and messed with that clone because why? Because I stood up to him. I didn't believe in what he believes, but he's oh, I'm doing this all for Krypton, the future I'm from, where Krypton situation. It's basically he's saying Krypton just wouldn't listen and stood by while it ended up dying. It's I'm trying to fix those mistakes. But the thing is, the future you're trying to create isn't something we're going to get behind either, because all the lives you're willing to kill, all the people you're willing to kill, all the world you're willing to try and conquer, it goes beyond just saving Krypton. They didn't throw it in his face, but it's this is about your own ambitions. You want to rule planets. That's what this comes down to. It's not even about Krypton at that point in time, and he's ordering soldiers to kill them, but none of them do. Everyone kind of ends up ultimately standing down. And then, they're Lyta's you're gonna have to kneel, Zod. And he's basically, I kneel to no one. And Seg's I figured you would say that. Takes off the jacket, come outside, and it's yo, it's we're about to do this. And of course, Seg kind of gets his ass handed to him a couple times. To be fair, puts up a decent fight, but it's yeah, Zod's better at this. He's House Zod are the fighters, so plus Zod's got more experience than Seg, but still, Seg lands in some good blows and stuff like that. I love him being oh, you're not a man of steel. What hope do you think you have to beat me? He's the fact is, when I do win, how humiliating is basically going to be that you got beat by ordinary old me, just kind of rubbing it in his face. Which that probably pisses him off even more. It's yeah, you're my dad, but you're also the grandfather of my mortal enemy, that being Superman. So that plays a role. But then Lyta steps in, and I think that's the beauty of it too. It's I'm glad it's not just Seg's victory, it's Lyta's too, because it's they fight together, and they're because for one, Lyta's handling it on her own, but then Seg jumps in, lands some good blows and stuff, and they're bouncing back and forth, which also speaks volumes of who Zod is. The fact is he's fighting both of them off like that. But They luckily do take him down, and Seg's about to kill him, but Lyta stops her, because it's like, basically, no matter what the circumstances is, sadly, that is still their son. They can say, like, oh, you're not my son anymore. They want to cast him aside, but the fact is, there's still going to be that part of him, like, you're my son, so I can't do it. But also, it's just like, if we do that, we're no better than him. So it's like, we're not going to kill people the way he wants. We're not going to go about things that way. So what did they do? They hook him up to the Black Mercy. That should have been my first time that, like, okay, that opening was kind of misleading, just because I was like, okay, so how are we beating him and then getting to that intro? And then I'm like, wait, I was like, because they're like, we can't put him in the Phantom Zone because that's not enough to hold him. So it's like, what do we do? I'm like, the Black Mercy, and lo and behold, we see it. Because what should have clicked in my head was like, right, he has the ships. I think it's just because I was like, well, Wagdor is going, so the power source they use for the ships is going too. So that's why I was like, but then I was thinking maybe he had enough power saved up that he can move those ships. Maybe that was my justification, but I didn't think they had enough to kind of move an entire fleet like that, you know? So, but I love it. In his head, it's like the Black Mercy gives you what you want the most. And he's got both, you know, Seg and Lyta being like, oh, we're so proud of you, son. Let's do this. And once again, he's conquering Earth. And once again, I think it's because the whole aspect of like, this is the planet I wasn't able to conquer. Superman was standing in my way. Now I can get this planet, blah, blah, blah. He's looking so proud of himself. And Lyta's like, how long do we... Or one of them asks, like, how long do we keep him under? And it's like, for as long as needed. For as long as Krypton is safe, which is like... There's always a possibility someone might free him. There's always a possibility he might free himself, because Zod, if not anything, has a very strong will. He is very stubborn in the sense that he won't give in. So eventually, like Lyta broke away because she didn't want the fantasy anymore. But given, like, as narcissistic and egotistical as Zod is, he could be in there forever. Just because he's getting everything he wants. He gets the family he wants. He gets to rule like he wants. So it kind of works in that way. So obviously, everything kind of ends off there. Like, Zod has been taken care of. Now it's a whole situation of, you know, we haven't really seen what that means for Kandor yet. Like, how society's going to be, like, you know, because, like, let's not forget, like, the voice of Rao's no longer there. A lot of the, you know, because, like, they went from, like, you know, the more, you know, the top families and, like, the voice of Rao kind of dealing with things, then Zod kind of taking the leadership. It's like, where does the leadership necessarily take? Does it go more democratic? Because before it was kind of like I don't know, there's a word for it, I'm not blanking on it. Because, like, his reign was kind of more of a democracy, not democracy, geez, a monarchy, but more so not even a monarchy. It's more of a tyrannic situation, whereas, like, I guess you can think of, like, it's like a republic, I guess, is kind of how it kind of worked in, like, season 1. But I'm curious to see where they kind of go now, like how the whole rank and rankless situation is going to go. I mean, it seems like that kind of went to the wayside with Zod anyway, so it's like going to be something that kind of... I mean, it seems like in season 1 kind of brought them all together, so season 2 kind of is bringing them back together again, kind of, I think, still getting rid of all that. So some other elements to talk about is Adam. Still paralyzed, but Val promising to work on it. Because I love that line from Adam where he's like, basically, this is my home. The fact of the matter is, you and, you know, Val and Sag are the closest thing he has to family. Tells about this fact is his mom died giving birth to him. His dad never let him go a day without reminding him. But he's like, yeah, but and it's obviously for Adam, it's also a thing of, like, he never forgot either. And there's also the thing of, like, him and his dad only bonded over one thing, baseball. So now that he doesn't have the Zeta Beam, it's not like I'm going anywhere, so might as well get used to calling this home like I have. But Val is like, because of all that you've done and you've sacrificed, you know, I'm going to make sure to find a way to make it so you can walk again, which we see later on. He hooks him up. And I think that's supposed to be potentially closer to who he is in the comic books, like the suit he's wearing and everything. It's like, oh, basically he's got wearing these braces. And it's like, oh, look, I got a jetpack. And I love he turns it on, immediate slams into the ceiling, and everybody's drunk off their ass, even Val, and they're laughing about it, having a good time. I'm like, at first I'm kind of worried. I was like, is somebody pumping some gas in here where everyone's acting loopy? It's like, I mean, obviously everyone's just celebrating, but I thought something else, maybe sinister, was going on there. You even see Jaina and Dev kind of enjoying themselves. They go out and fight Doomsday under some ice. Like, he landed, and I guess, like, the cold ice, like, I guess upon, like, impact, it heated the ground, and, like, you know, because of the cold nature of the Outlands, it just immediately froze over. So he's back on ice again. But am I surprised? No. I knew Doomsday was going to survive because for one, it's like, well, he needs to be around to face Superman eventually, but also just because of what Doomsday is. Doomsday's adaptive. It takes a shit ton to kill that thing. So it's like, of course, that's not going to be enough. Also makes it so now he's even more adapted to a planet exploding. And granted, yes, it was a moon, but we're going to go planet-sized things exploding still won't be enough to kill him. So where that takes us, that's always going to be like, yeah, what are we going to do about that? We're going to move him? We're going to stay there? Like, there's always a chance that someone might do a Zod and try and free him. So that's an issue all on its own. So there's that. Circling back to the Nyssa thing, Nyssa's there and she's, finds these people. They're like burned bodies. One dude survived. She finds a symbol and I'm like, okay, what's she going to discover? Like, where is this place? And she looks, it's a freaking Omega symbol. I'm like, Darkseid? I'm like, wait, what? And then she looks up in the sky and she sees like little flying people. Like, I'm assuming that's kind of the same creatures that were in the Justice League movie. I'm like, wait, what? Are we throwing every major villain? Like, what the hell? This season we had Lobo, borderline's anti-hero, I think. We had Zod, we had Brainiac, we had Doomsday. It was like, now you're setting up Darkseid? I mean, it's probably more so like Apocalypse before we get to Darkseid, but still, it's like, that's nuts. I mean, to be fair, it's like, it also makes you wonder, is that supposed to be her back then? Is this her present day? Like, I mean, because let's not forget, this is still like, ain't this supposed to be like 150 years in the past or something like that? Or is that, or am I thinking of like when we saw Doomsday? I think this is like 150 years, like, yeah, because like Seg's in is like 20, so get him a little bit older than Jor-El, a little, I don't know. I feel like it's less than 150. Where the hell am I getting the number 150 for? Regardless, I was like, that's nuts. So I was like, what planet did she land on? I guess it doesn't really matter. I guess it's just like, oh, this is a planet that's in a process of being conquered by not Doomsday, by Darkseid and his apostles and his group, which is interesting just when you think about it, just because obviously like Ava DuVernay is I probably butchered her last name just now, but she's working on a New Gods movie, so it's just kind of interesting how that all kind of like tangles together in some shape or form. But nevertheless, I was like, oh, that's so interesting. I would have never expected that to be like the twist they're doing with Nyssa's plot line in that sense. Obviously, another surprise is freaking Lobo shows up at the end. I'm like, wait, what? And you have Lobo being like, yo, apparently he's got his wang out and he's like, yo, he's like, and he's like, what, impressed? Yeah, I grew up myself. It's like, yeah, I'm happy for you. And when I said put the weapon away, I meant the other weapon. He's like, oh, right. And so he's walking up to him and talking about like the deal they had. And he's like, no, don't talk while the man is talking. And so Seg's just kind of being cool, calm, and collected. It's like, the fact of the matter is, you want me to help with the whole, you tracking down Brainiac thing? You try to kill Adam and Eve. It's like, come on, that was the past. And even Legs is over at sea, and then Adam's over there laughing his ass off, and he's like, Legs. I love it. Like, I just love Lobo, dude. It's so good. And so he's like, yeah, I want to go after, like, Sega's like, I'm going to go after Brainiac because he took my son. And I love it. And in the moment he starts tearing up and stuff like that, I'm like, I knew it was going to go, it was either going to go like, oh, he's going to surprise me and go like, oh no, like, oh my God, this is affecting me. But I had a feeling, I was like, he's going to go the asshole route, isn't he? And he does. He goes, I don't care. I'm like, I love that. It's like either Brainiac took my son because he says something about the L blood, but I think it's mainly just because he's an asshole. And you even have Lobo being like, yeah, he's an asshole. So that was interesting. So they're joining forces potentially to track down. I love that too, because it's just like, I guess because everyone's drunk off their ass, no one is paying Lobo any attention. He's literally over there pissing on the glass. It's like, okay. And then at the same time, you see Brainiac, and Brainiac's calling Jor-El his son. I'm like, wait, what? That's some twisted stuff. And he's just going like, oh, we'll take, and when we get there, you're going to be a god. I'm like, you're not going where, lo and behold, they're going to Earth. I'm like, that's interesting. So his plan is to basically raise Jor-El to be his own, but it's like, oh, once you get to Earth, you'll be a god. So does he know about what? I wonder, how does he know? Maybe it's something he got from Seg inside of Seg's head or whatever. Like maybe it was some stuff that Adam had told him, stuff he had picked up from Zod as well about the fact is on Earth, like, Kryptonians become gods. And so, or maybe he's just or maybe he's just saying, as my son with me by your side, you'll rule that planet as a god. Maybe he doesn't even know about the Kryptonian abilities, but that's so interesting. It's like, huh. So, and I guess, and that's such an interesting take on the story too, because like obviously the whole thing of like their storylines about what if, superhero, well, obviously there's different other people's stories, but the whole thing of like, what if Superman came to Earth and he wasn't, instilled with a combination of the L bloodline, because we see how honorable they are, but that's a nature thing. But then like the Kent's nurturing aspect of raising him, molding him into one of the universe's greatest heroes, that turns into a whole thing of like, what could that be? Would he even get that far? Would Brainiac even get close to Earth in that regard? I don't know. I love what they're doing because we are shifting the timeline so much. Because even it's gotten to the point, even Adam's like, yeah, things are so kind of fucked. I don't know how to kind of fix it. There might not be any fixing it, which I think is kind of interesting. Because like I think it's interesting that that's not because I kept thinking the entire season, I'm like, oh, they're gonna undo so much stuff, but they never do. Once again, someone we still haven't found out about. And I was bringing this up like last episode when Whack Thor blew up. It's like, what about Jack Sawyer? Are we going to see her pop up? Because the whole thing is like, oh, there might be some survivors from Whack Thor. I'm assuming maybe she might be one of them. Maybe, I don't know. I think that's going to be an interesting thing, but it's so interesting because obviously like this season kind of ends with so much stuff being wrapped up, but at the same time setting up so much other stuff too, because it's like, is Seg and Lobo going to run into Brainiac? Like, how are they going to go about that? Like, would the next season take place mainly on Krypton? Would they kick it on other planets or something? Would Adam go with them because it's like, this is about my son? Like how that whole situation would play out, I'd be so curious. At the time of me recording this, there is no news whether or not Krypton has been canceled or renewed for another season. Obviously, I'm pulling for another season. Interesting enough, I was reading an article just now too that was basically saying like, also Syfy was working on making a Lobo spinoff, which I guess that's why we're giving so much time to Lobo too, which would be interesting. Could be like, what the hell would the Lobo series be about? I guess him just like out and about, just kind of like doing kind of like bounty hunter type of stuff, I'm assuming. But nevertheless, obviously, because it's interesting, because obviously he's like where he is in the story right now, he's very integral to like the main overarching plot. So I think that'd be kind of interesting. I mean, I hope this comes back for a third season with everything they've set up. I'd love to see where this all would take us, especially, like I said, they've set up so many loose ends to be like, what the hell is that going to be? Freaking, like I said, Nyssa and the whole Darkseid situation. What the hell about Doomsday? What about Adam's situation? Like, because I don't know much about Adam from the comic book, so I don't know what to kind of really make of that. But Brainiac taking Jor-El to Earth, like what that'll be, like I'm so interested to see. And the fact is that Brainiac wants to call him his son too. It's like, that's weird. But I guess for him, it's like he wants to because he wants to. He thinks of himself as like the perfect being, and I think he thinks with what I am meeting you combined with what Jor-El could be as a Superman. I mean, could that be even something we see? Could we see like enough time pass? Like maybe like. Once again, it depends on what time frame Nyssa's in. So maybe we will get some time traveling, and maybe like Adam and because maybe Adam and Lobo and Seg will go to Rand, get another device, get basically Adam make the modifications, get a Zeta beam, with the Zeta beam and time travel, end up present day, and we see Earth where it's like Jor-El is kind of full blown zodding it up or type of thing, but under Brainiac's control, and maybe Earth just not even what it is. I don't know. I'd be so interested to find out, especially because you have two conquerors like that. You have Doomsday. I keep doing it. Sorry, Darkseid and Brainiac. So it's like, where the hell will that go? Will those two ever meet and clash? That'd be interesting. So like I said, I'm hopeful for a third season. I'll keep my fingers crossed. So like I said, I'd love to see what they will do with a third season. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.